Well, welcome to South Cobb Live, our podcast where we bring community to life. And I'm your host, Elise White, bringing all the connections and good vibes by interviewing local entrepreneurs and businesses in our neighborhood. And so today, we are super excited because we have Jena Burgess Singleton, the fabulous, illustrious owner of the Resting Spot, which is a super innovative and transformative space, literally a safe haven for women to relax and, quite frankly, heal. So we're very excited to spend some time with Miss Jenna. Mrs. Jenna, welcome to our space,
Thank you.
our
Thank you for
virtual
having
space.
me.
No
Yes, no,
problem.
I feel like I'm there. It feels very cozy. I love the lighting there. I wish I had the same thing going on, but I'm enjoying the sun.
Hey, sun is good for the body, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So, really excited to talk about you today. We really want to learn more about you. I know you have a wonderful woman owned private club that we are going to dive into. But before we get into resting the right way, I really want to learn more about you and your background. So, do you mind just sharing a little bit about, your personal background?
Sure. So, just by way of background, I most recently came out of corporate. I spent the last 5 years building employee experience divisions in diversity, equity, inclusion work within different types of companies. So, tech companies, nonprofits, Fortune 500s. So, I've had a really interesting opportunity to see what we're doing inside our workplaces to be more inclusive from a design perspective in the environments with employee experience, but also to policies, procedures, and advocacy for marginalized groups in the workforce.
Right.
Prior to that, I had owned my own consulting company that built L&D programs, training and development. I was a public speaker for a period of time when I wrote my book that really focused on closing the skills gap for recent graduates entering into the workforce. And then, well, prior to that, I was back in corporate doing D&I and HR as well. So I've had a love, I don't want to say hate, I've had a love, and
Yeah.
sometimes love relationship with work and entrepreneurship. But I think my home is always going to be entrepreneurship. So that's my formal background. But right now, as you mentioned, I'm the owner and founder of the Rest Spot. And we're really focused on intentionally designing spaces for women to rest.
That just sounds so good. So, I just love that. Intentionally designing spaces for women to rest. I'm thinking on experiencing your resting spot. I attended. I loved it. It was amazing. And I was thinking about this whole culture. You
Yeah.
talk about employee experience in the workforce. They talk a lot about creating a culture, a good and supportive environment for people at work. But then you've kind of created your own human resource experience through the resting spot with rest being the primary functionality, which is probably a big war on rest if you think about it, especially in our culture today with like grind culture, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that rest was ever supposed to be a part of our culture or part of the way we thought about being productive and being our best selves. It's so funny, you look at athletes who train and they really focus on recovery times and
Right.
maximizing output with your body. So I think a lot of the wellness industry in general is really focused around performance and optimization versus recovery and what that can do. Like it's part of the narrative, but it's not at the
Yep.
forefront. But it's so needed.
That is, you speaking gospel right there. It is very needed. I loved looking at your site and hearing or seeing right. What is it? A sanctuary. You've created like a
Yes.
sanctuary for rest, and we don't do it enough. I know I personally don't do it enough. I in November was doing a wellness bingo with my gym, and
Oh,
one of
fun.
yeah, it was great. The I in bingo was supposed to be what do you do? Like what do you do for yourself? Shout out to South Cobb, Burns Boot Camp, South Cobb. But the
Hi, Burn
I,
Camp.
but the I was supposed to be like, what do you do for yourself? And I actually had to write in there, I'm going to go to bed before 1 midnight. Yeah, like for myself, like 4 times that month. That was a strategy because I'm not actually getting enough rest and I need to. So when I
Yeah.
was looking and experiencing the resting spot that you have right in Smyrna, I was just in awe of the concept. When I heard you speak, I was like, I need to talk to you. You need to, more people need to know about this. This is a great place and a great space.
Yes.
Yes. So you speak about some interesting stats I kind of want to dive into about women in burnout. I think that was kind of like the catalyst of why you decided to create this about like kind of like lying in bed at night. 46% of women lie in bed at night due to stress. Why is that? Do you have any ideas about what you've seen based on your clientele?
Yeah, I mean, I think we learned this in there's a great book called The Confidence Code, and I think it was really the catalyst in a lot of the lean in studies. And I know that they've coupled their work together and they do the Women in the Workplace report annually. But one of the things that they had talked about with the differences in women's brains versus men's brains is that we do ruminate more. We have like a continuous cycle of dialogue and narrative that does not leave our minds. And so, at night, oftentimes we're just replaying all the things from the day or all the things that need to happen the next day. And it really doesn't allow for a peaceful transition to turning off. Women have a very, very hard time turning off. So I think that that data started to like glean into what's physically happening with us. But I also just think there's too much on our plates as women. So
Yeah.
when I say our, I think of like the collective of women, and it makes perfect sense, right? Like nothing got taken off of women's plates in our roles in the States, right? It's fantastic that we've entered the workforce,
Yeah.
and we are getting a sense of empowerment and equality in some ways, but at the same time, nothing in our infrastructure has taken anything off of our previous roles and our previous expectations in our households and our relationships and in our families. So there's just too much to do in the day. There's too much.
Yeah.
So we're lying awake, we're not resting, and we are absolutely burnt out.
That's very fascinating, and I agree with you. They call it that the mental load, right? The stuff that
Mhm.
keeps being piled up, and it takes a lot to do. So, tell me what was kind of like your defining moment? You were like, I have got to create this space.
Oh man. Well, I think you heard a little bit of my story probably when we met, but
Yeah.
I had hit just my own physical and mental health wall, and I was in HR. I was an executive in tech and traveling a lot and doing a lot and being a single mom and managing all the things. And I physically just broke down. My was experiencing some paralysis. My body would shake constantly.
Mm.
I was so overstimulated and releasing so much cortisol that my body was living in, flight mode all the time. And so I physically had to rest. And then while I was resting, I really recognized that all of the women in my life were going through the same exact thing. And it really took me stopping and slowing down to recognize this, well, what I was essentially not only experiencing, but noticing that everybody else was too.
Mm.
So at that point, I don't know. They say that you're your most creative, productive self when you rest, and I think that is the truth. Like I literally was just living in a space of rest and care and service for others, and bringing people to my house to rest. And I
Right.
was in shock. I ended up having like 20 women in the local community coming over to rest, and many of which didn't even know me. And I was like, this is
Wow.
crazy. They're coming to a stranger's house to rest. And
That's
so that
insane.
was,
20 women showed up to a stranger's house and said,
yes.
"Hi, I'm here for rest." Like, hello,
Yes. And like went
hello.
up to one of the rooms in my home and rested. And I was like, this is wild. And so I knew I had to do it. I was like, this is a thing. This is a
Yeah,
thing. And so we sought out property and we made it happen.
that is amazing. That's insane. What people often energize. I know people energize me when I hear stories like that is a crazy story. So I can't imagine when you were in this development state and you were hearing stories from the women who were coming in to get rest. What's a milestone moment for you where you really got somebody who got a lot of value out of getting rest into a stranger's home, so to speak?
Oh man. I feel like I've had so many of those moments, and
Yeah.
it's in a great way. Like it's the one thing that I was like, gosh, I could just do this for the rest of my life and be so happy. One of our members, gosh, I'll talk about one who came to my home who did not know me, who's actually one of our founders now and works quite
Wow.
a bit with us. So I
Hmm.
feel like we can openly share about
We can
her.
share
But
that story, right?
yeah, because she's all in. She's stuck with us, but did not know me. And this is somebody who is in the healthcare field, NICU PICU nurse, has served for our country, has just these accolades of pure service in care for others in babies, nonetheless. And she also owns a lactation company, lactation and feeding support company here in Smyrna, and she's like, well, I know I need to rest. And then she went up to, I had two rooms designed in my house, and one was
Yeah.
designed around creative rest, and one was designed around physical rest. And she started in the physical room, and she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. And she had like the hardest time just being in the space. And she's like, can I change the sheets? Can I bring the dishes down? Like she couldn't stop herself from like doing.
Yeah.
And and she committed to it. She's like, I didn't even realize how hard this was going to be. And she's fully committed. And she came back
Wow.
and she tried again, and she brought a journal. And then the next time she brought a book, and she just figured out ways for herself to slowly ease into rest. And so that was really interesting and to watch. But I was really so proud that she continued to show up. And then we have, and I'll share two parts of this, because I think at our
Yeah.
facility, because we have childcare, I didn't do childcare at my house, obviously, but because we have that here, those are probably the biggest moments that change everything. We have several members who travel over 40 minutes to come here, and they all
Wow.
have children under 2 years old, and their children have never been in childcare, and no one's watched their child. So they've been attached, under this 2 year period, which are still in postpartum at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and to watch them give our team, their child, to hand the baby physically over, which they have not even done, right? And
Wow.
you see the angst, right? You see that it's how hard it is, but you see how necessary it is for them to just breathe, because they know their baby's safe and it
Right.
is okay. And you see them sit down, and they, a lot of them still have the postpartum shakes, and you just watch them breathe and sit in our cafe and have a meal, or just sit and journal. And sometimes you'll see tears coming out of their face. And it's that I get teared up thinking about it. Like, it's that moment. It's like why we exist. It's like we can hold you and allow you to rest in that way that just doesn't exist in our lives right now. So it's powerful to watch the women.
That's really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I didn't even consider that as a meaningful concept or area for women to have, and that's beautiful that you can create that. You've created that space for women. I experienced when I went there, a little bit of that angst of putting my phone away and being away from it for 90 minutes. Like, I challenged myself. By no means did you say you had to, but I was in this
No,
whole
yeah,
sanctuary. It was like this whole space of, it was so cute. It was the mental oasis. What was it called? A
yeah,
mental
yes,
oasis.
yep.
I
You're
got
in
it
it.
right.
So
Yes.
sweet.
Yes, it was amazing. So I go in there and I found sun chips, which are like my favorite chips, first of all. And I was like, oh, I got some sun chips. Okay. And so then I'm sitting on the side of the bed, and I was like, oh, this bed is comfy. It felt like a nice luxury hotel, first of all. And then I'm like, okay, I have 90 minutes. I'm going to put the phone away. And it was really like, I was like, but I have something to do, because it was in the middle of the day. So I was still trying to create that space for me, but also telling myself, like, step away, stop letting your brain move so much. So I was just happy that I had that. I almost felt like you go on like a mini vacation. I went on like a
Yeah.
mini vacation for 90 minutes and then came back to reality. And I also fell asleep too. So I ended up falling asleep. So it was great. It was great.
I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, that is the goal. It's like episodic rest. You shouldn't feel like you have to go away 2 hours into the Blue Ridge Mountains to
Right.
have a moment for yourself. It needs to be realistic, It needs to be accessible, and we don't need oftentimes these massive chunks of time. We just need some time. And we
Yeah.
also just need to know that it's there if I need it.
If I need it, it's there. It's
Yeah.
so that brings me to another point. So you talk about the 7 types of rest that the resting spot really helps physically. You create these spaces for people. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
How that's integrated into your services?
Sure. So we are intentionally designed on the 7 types of rest that exist. And so the idea is we're all in different places and we have different needs. And so, we read a lot about the 7 types of rest, and I think it intuitively makes sense. And one of
Mm-hmm.
our goals here is to make it come to life and to physically bring you into that experience. And so we've designed 7 renderings of rooms that represent these experiences, and then we have a social area slash cafe for social rest. And so, let me know time wise, I can go through all of them. But as you described, right now, the rooms that we have available are our mental rest suite, which is really designed to help your brain slow down and stop ruminating. And that's why it's
Yeah.
blacked out with really clean design. And it's really cozy and quiet, and it really just allows you to release. And so a lot of people just feel that by stepping into this space, and that was really our goal. Design can be so transformative. I'm in our creative suite now, and so the colors are chosen, the design, the art, the
Right.
supplies that are in the room are around helping bringing out your creativity and allowing you to work and think without the idea of a deadline. Many of us want to write, many of us want to produce something, whether it's our music, our art. So we want to create space for you to do that. We have our sensory suite, which you'll have to come and try next.
I need to.
This is everybody's favorite room right now. And the
Okay.
idea is to calm your body from being overstimulated by grounding you in nature. Nature allows our brains to get into our primitive states and kind of reminds us where we come from, and allows us to get more aligned to the integrity of our bodies. And so it's built like a little cabin, and you have the outdoor space, you have these deep greens around you, you have forest sounds in the room. And
Cool.
so it's a sensory experience. And then we'll continue to build our other rooms. Our next rooms will be physical, so you'll have
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to relax your body or to exercise in that room, and it'll have a soaking tub and a shower. And then our spiritual room is the next room after that that we'll build, which really just provides space for faith and whatever that means for you, and a centered space around what you need spiritually. One of the women who came to my home to rest, she would bring her Bible, and it really was her dedicated time to strengthening her spiritual relationship. And so that's what rest meant for her. So it's really just about finding out of the 7, what you need. And then every
Yeah.
week we have social hour, because social is a type of rest. We need to be filled up. I know I need it. I am Queen Hermit. I absolutely love resting and staying by myself physically.
Right.
But our is the best. Chef, we have a personal chef. He makes us appetizers, and we sit and we connect, truly connect as women, and we talk about all kinds of stuff, the most random hilarious topics, and we have a ball. So
That
it's
sounds
really just about,
fabulous.
yeah.
That sounds fabulous. It's so funny. Look, I want you to finish your thought. You said it's really just about what?
Oh yeah, it's really just about creating all of that versatility physically, just like you would a gym membership or another studio or another club that you would join, right? Is that this
Right.
is your episodic opportunity to incorporate these types of rest in your life.
It's great. You are creating like this practice what you preach method in the truest form. And that's what I was thinking while you were speaking, because you say, there's physical, mental, social, emotional, sensory, creative, spiritual. These are all very important things that we literally try to balance in a regular life setting and call it self-care, but we kind of pick at it. It's like picking at a scab a little bit, but we really don't dive in. And what the resting spot, the experience I experience, because I can only speak for self, but it creates that, it intentionally inserts that space for you as a physical in its physical form.
Yeah, we need it. I think that's what COVID taught us, right? Like we had the ability to slow down. We understood how to reprioritize. It really shocked us in such an extreme way on all fronts.
Yeah.
And coming out of it, or as we like reemerge back into, socializing and getting, more comfortable out and about, you realize, gosh, I need connection. Right. And it's not at work all the time. It's not necessarily going out to restaurants or doing something. Sometimes I just need to be together and be apart at the same time. And so we're that really interesting club that allows you to do that, right? You can be together, but you can also be apart and know that you're in a safe space.
Yeah, and I like how you framed it on your site. It's something about like affordable accessibility. You give access to rest or access to relaxation, and I think that's powerful. That kind of leads me into what I want to talk about. Like, how can people be down? How can people sign? Like, what? Or just explain your membership experience and the options that you
Yeah.
have.
Yes, please, everybody be down, and come out because it's important. So as you mentioned, we wanted it to be accessible and affordable. And so we have a basic membership price of $89.95 that gives you 7-day access, Sunday to Sunday, to our facility. It includes essentially it's a point system in our MindBody app. You get 4 stays in our suite. So you can choose between the existing suites that we have 4 times a month for 90 minutes. And those are private reservations included. But then you also just have access to the facility anytime we're open 7 days a week.
Nice.
So you can be sitting in our lounge, you can co-work in our cafe whenever you need to do that. So that's our basic membership, but we also have a premium membership that's $135 that gives you access to our facility 24/7. So we are always open and we are always here. And we certainly have women who, after hours, need a place to go. Maybe the kids are asleep and you're like, I finally just need to go focus and sit down or take care of myself. And I just want to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Or you have folks who have family living with them, and they say, gosh, I just would like somewhere to hide for a little bit. And they'll come a little bit later in the evening. Or entrepreneurs do their best work, at 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. So that
Right.
premium membership's really for folks who want to always have access to our lounge and our cafe. So
I
those are
have
our two
friends.
options right now.
That's awesome. That's great. Those are great options. I have friends that run away to Target to get away from kids. So I get
Yes.
it. Like,
Yes.
so you're giving them. I mean, I'm sure their checkout line at Target is cost less. Your membership's less than their checkout line at Target.
It's less than going to dinner. It's $89.95. It's less than going out with your
Right.
girlfriends. And you get 2 glasses of wine and an entree. And you get 4 private stays. You get unlimited childcare, 90 minutes
Wow.
every time you visit. It doesn't matter if you come every day. We will help you. And you get access to us 7 days a week. It's to me, it should be a no-brainer, but we did that on purpose because we want people to incorporate rest in your life.
Right. And 24/7 means literally 24 hours, 7 days a week. I want to reiterate that is what that means, because don't let that go over your head, friends. 24/7. Just saying.
Anytime you want, come on over. And we always have snacks and we always have beverages.
Wow. I know. And them sun chips. I'm gonna hype
Yes.
them and more, not just the sun chips. I was
Yeah,
just
peanut
personally excited.
M&Ms are our members' favorite. So we ask folks, like, what snacks do you want us to stock? And peanut M&Ms, time and time again, are the number one requested item.
Yeah, that's a great yes. Amen to that. So you are empowering women with their rest and their snack life. you,
It's
I love
important.
So, kind of explain to me, you've explained to me beautifully about the importance of creating connections with the co working options. There's a social hour, and then there's even an area where you're not allowed to work, right? Or is there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So during business hours, so this is for our basic membership levels, you are not allowed laptop in our lounge. So you can have it in the cafe, you can have it in the private reservation areas, but if you're in our lounge, we ask no laptops. If you do want to be on your phone in terms of watching something, you have to use headphones, and we ask folks not to speak above a whisper. The idea is to really let people turn off and be to themselves in our lounge space. So
Yep.
that's our code of conduct for that room.
Okay. Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
So I am certain you've mentioned that you have a board, and I'm sure that your board and your team has been very critical to your success. And so just tell us how you contribute to the community. I mean, I know you're right in South Cobb, but like, how are you contributing, and any upcoming events you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, gosh. So we've been open for 7 months. And I think at this point, it's a lot of experimentation for what the needs are of our private membership, but also the community at large. And I think what we notice the most that people are looking for is a space to be, even if they're not ready to make a commitment to a membership. And so we do host events and have open events to the public. Our weekly social hours do serve as open houses. So you can come in from 5 to 7 on Thursdays to talk to current members and kind of
Nice.
experience our space and grab some food, which is always nice. And then we hold episodic events based on the season. Our largest one was our Sip and Savor. It was like an end of summer celebration, and we basically did a paint and sip on our green. You've been to our
Nice.
facility. We have a massive property. And it's just beautiful in the spring and summer. It's all green, and we had tents up and supplies, and over 70 women registered to just come and connect. So, we're always really
Nice.
excited to host those. We also partner with organizations to provide space for meetings.
Hmm.
So, whether it's a nonprofit, they need somewhere to hold, their monthly meeting, or if it's other wellness practitioners that are looking to either promote their business or, just hold space. We really do serve as a space and facility in that way. So there's lots of ways to engage with us outside of membership.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And then looking ahead, I'm understanding that you're creating more space opportunities, different oases. Is that correct?
We are. So we're only in phase one. This is basically a beta test. When we kind of did a focus group, thought about what this would be, and then built out of our existing structure on the property, it really was to prove the concept. It doesn't exist. And so
Right.
it was really important for us to understand how to build the model and then test. So we did that by doing this first phase of the existing building, adding tiny home experiences. But then phase two will be adding the rest of those small, like, tiny structural experiences around the 7 types of rust, as well as finishing our kids' space. So we want an outdoor playground and space for that on the property. We'll be adding additional space to our lounge. So we'll be adding 25 feet to our lounge. And then our third phase is actually in the back of our property. We'll be building an education and conference center for women.
Wow.
So we'll be able to have that as a kind of a go-to destination for women empowerment and thought leadership and discussion. So lots still to do. We're literally just getting started. So a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, it's like done." I'm like, "No, this is like the beta."
You're speaking my language. I love phases. I love beta tests. I love launches. I love all of this stuff. So this is beautiful. What you're building and testing, it's only going to get better and better. So I'm very excited to just be in your presence in beta, right? Because we can circle back and see the growth of that because it's only up from here. So really awesome stuff, Jenna. Are there any local partnerships or initiatives you'd like to highlight, or people you work with that you love to just kind of spotlight?
Oh, it's such an amazing question because I think we don't do that enough. This is where I think we're a little interesting. I consider us a safe space and a sanctuary. And so what's really important to me is that we don't get too much on the networking like experience or too much of um anything to do, right? Because I really want people to rest, and I also want them to feel safe enough regardless of their status, their job, or their role in our community, that this is a place they can come and
Mm-hmm.
truly sit down or even fall apart if you need to. And so, we don't do a lot of public promotion around expectations of partnerships. And even internally with our memberships, people always ask, "Oh, well, you have a directory of so many amazing women who are part, of your community." But I really honor um, the confidentiality of our members and them being able to keep this as their go-to safe space. So we
Yeah.
don't do a ton of that. But what we do is we have a partner manifesto with our current members. If they want to, if they would like to talk about their business or promote it, I provide the space on the property free to them to hold an event if they would like. So if you're a current member, you are
Nice.
welcome to do that. And so if you see some of the events on our Instagram, a lot of those are our current members who want to hold space to share their gifts with everyone.
That's so beautiful. It's so cool. I love that. Yeah. And I respect the privacy. It seems like you took a lot of intentionality in building this out so that it was truly rest in every sense of the word and not jabbing at you in another area that you now have an obligation to. So I appreciate that you sharing that. That's wonderful. All right.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard,
Yeah.
especially as women. We always want to do something or say, "Oh
Yeah.
gosh," because like we're magic. We're just magic. Like we make stuff happen.
All the
I have
time,
to
but
catch
we make
myself.
stuff happen. We don't even try. It's like stuff is just happening. Here we are.
I know, and I'm like, "Oh, stop, do nothing." Please.
More will happen if you just rest. Just trust the process.
Exactly.
I get it. I get it. All right. So now it's time for our little fun section. We're going to play a little game.
Okay.
Okay. You ready for the game? Okay.
I'm ready.
Hold on. Okay. We get you ready. We get your head in the game. Isn't that a song? Get your head in the game. Anyway.
I'm sure it is. I feel like we need a DJ.
So I love a good hey.
It was coming. I just had to wait for it. I'm sorry. I got it. Yeah.
Hilarious. All right. So this is called the South Cobb Spotlight Sprint. It's really just to kind of help you out. It's just you are fabulous, magical, magnetic, right? So it's we just going we're just going to talk, and it's going to be word association. I'm just going to give you a couple words that have something to do with your business, and you just tell me the first thought or feeling or phrase that comes to mind.
Okay, releasing. Go.
You do this every day. You've been doing it this whole conversation. I know this is going to be simple. Okay?
Okay.
All right. First word. Relax.
Oh, release.
Whew.
Just let it go. We gotta let it go. We're literally living like this. Just like let it go. Release.
Love it. Okay. Empowerment.
Clarity. Really, empowerment is truly about being really clear. And then you can run as fast as you want and ask all the questions and do all the things.
I'm here for that. Okay. Motherhood.
Oof, that's the word.
That works. We
No
go
one
ride with
told
it. We go.
me.
Wait, say it again.
No one told me. No, uh, it's a journey. Motherhood is a journey. It's beautiful. It's messy. It's chaotic, and it's a privilege. It's a journey.
Love it. Recharge.
Ooh, I just think of energy. Like people think recharge, and they're like, "Oh, I just need to, get a facial or get a massage." And no, it's
Yeah.
really about producing the energy in your body to thrive.
That's nice. And last but not least, balance.
Hmm. What's that word? It's whatever comes to your mind, but the word is actually not coming to. But I think balance is something that can easily slip through your hands. That's what I'm picturing in my head. It's this really delicate idea and concept, and I don't know that it's a destination. Balance is a living thing, and that looks different at different times.
That's deep. Thank you. That was the game. You just won. There's no right or wrong.
Oh. I was waiting
Feel
for the
better,
sound
don't you?
bite. I was like, yay!
You won. No, Jenna, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your beautiful space, the resting spot. We need more of it. We need more of this conversation. Rest is a fundamental human need. You say it's not a luxury. I love that so much. That's your mission. And that is where people need to kind of take and prioritize, put it on the top part of their journey. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for your time. And for
Thank
our
you.
audience that's listening, be sure to subscribe and follow on all of our platforms at South Cobb Live on YouTube, Facebook, you name it, all the things, Instagram, wherever we're going to be, you going to follow. And thank you so much for spending some time.
All right.